What's up, my friends? Happy Friday, TGIF. I appreciate y'all being here today. I see chat popping off. Looks like you guys are excited. You're ready to rock and roll. Me too, baby. We are so close to the NFL season beginning. The excitement is palpable. Oh, I'm so excited. Never mind the weird excitement I'm showing. I am literally jumping out of my own skin, waiting for Thursday Night Football. Can't wait to do NFL Showdown. Primetime slates. We're going to go ham this year. We have done 30 days of NFL lineup study, lineup rewind using Fantasy Cruncher, making sure that all of our members at teamriseorfall.com who do get $20 per month to use on Fantasy Cruncher are supported. Meanwhile, I am going to be focusing more so on the strategy aspect behind using the advanced settings that a lot of people probably aren't signed up to use yet. So make sure you go to teamriseorfall.com, grab our Ronin tier, which is $29 a month. You end up getting $20 to Fantasy Cruncher. If you use promo code NFL50 right now, let me break this down for you. Let's say you use promo code NFL50 today. You use that code. You are going to get our first month for just $15. Let's say you stick around for a second month. That means you'll have paid us $45 for 2 months of content provision, right? Should lead you, 7-8 weeks into the NFL season? On top of that, you'll have received $40 to use on Fantasy Cruncher, which means you'll have paid a total of how much? About $5. That's right. So you'll have paid basically $5 for 2 months of Rise or Fall and Fantasy Cruncher combined. That's insanity. So you can grab that link. I'm going to drop it right here in the chat. By all means, go ahead and grab this link. Let me snag this from one of my screens as I'm looking all over the place. And you guys can grab this link right here. It looks pretty cool, totally revamped and updated. We will support you with all things Fantasy Cruncher. You'll have access to 4 professional DFS pros, core picks, strategy notebooks, player pools, private streams, videos, cheat sheets, projection models, research, worksheets, whatever you want to call these things. You'll have it all basically at $5 over the course of 2 months using us and FC combined. There's not a better deal out there. I'm very confident in the value and what you get from us. Now, today, I'm bringing it up on the screen right now. Got to share the screen for you. I realized I do not share it while I'm trying to showcase stuff, but that's fine. We're going to move forward with our stream anyways. Thanks if you hung around with us. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for hanging around, waiting for the stream to start. I was on a private call with Underdog Fantasy. I love that company. They are really cool people, and their product is so freaking good. Talking about potential ways that we can, support them, and they'll support, me and my approach to all things DFS, I want to say. And I think they're doing some really cool stuff. So hopefully we've got some really, really cool things on the horizon for you guys who like that site or anybody who has not used it before. And we'll be able to push them for you and to support them. And I'm willing to support any company that supports me along the way. And they definitely have shown a willingness to do so. So let's see what happens here in the future. I think the trajectory is going the right direction. I don't know how to say this garbage. We're all going the same way. Huh? We're all going the right direction. Chat, let's get to it. We are going to be looking at advanced settings today. So we did step 1 yesterday, which was basically like, hey, I've never used Fantasy Cruncher before. Give me a foundation of knowledge so that I can play confidently in week 1. Now, if you left yesterday's stream feeling confident and you're like, you know what, I kind of want to look at some of the advanced stuff going forward, that's what today is for. Now, it's not going to get into the nitty gritty. I will cover the nitty gritty stuff in my weekly Donuts playbook on the website for members only, but I do want to highlight some of the different things that we did not look at yesterday. First and foremost, the My Data tab. This thing is pretty dope. This will allow you to kind of be more of a puppet master with your lineup creation, right? You'll be able to kind of ask Fantasy Cruncher to do X, Y, and Z based on what you want to happen with your lineups. Now, what do you want to happen with your lineups? A lot of that can be deciphered by going through lineup study, see what the pros are doing, and then try to emulate that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But first, I want to say what's up to chat. I appreciate y'all being here, honestly, every single day. We have over 1 million hours watched. 1 million hours watched on Twitch over the last 2 years. We switched to YouTube like 2 weeks ago. It has been an interesting transition. I thought, honestly, we had 2,300 people or so on Twitch. I thought everybody would just dive over to YouTube immediately. It didn't happen like I thought. So for the people who have already switched, who have been very supportive on YouTube, while we're still missing some of our Twitch family, thank you very much. Very humbled that you have jumped ship right away from Twitch to YouTube. And thank you. People like Aaron, thank you for that. Adam, good to see you. Team A, I love y'all. Appreciate you very much. Trav, what's up, man? Appreciate that. Aaron Hicks says, I'm new to the group, looking forward to learning how to win more cash. And we'll absolutely help you with the how and not necessarily the who, right? A lot of the industry gives you the who. We want to let you know the who, but we also want to let you know how to use them and why you're using them the way you are, because all picks are not equal. Let's see here. Muddy, what's up? Good to see you, Mike Carr. What's up, Dag? We got Dad and Puggle here with us today. I love this freaking guy. Let's see. Let's dive into it. What's up, Porter? Is this thing on? Yeah, it's on, CG. We see you, baby. Good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Okay, so if you go to your advanced settings, you click the My Data tab. There is a way that a lot of people like to use these columns right here to build their lineups. You can basically ask Fancy Cruncher to give you lineups based on certain criteria. Much like we set up those criteria in our positional stacks when we said, hey, Fancy Cruncher, I want you to make sure that you're using my projections to give me the best 3-player stacks possible. You can go to the My Data tab, my friends, and you can do something similar. Now, let's pretend we want to focus on the projection ownership. And maybe we are looking back at our articles from last year that Eeg6 wrote, those amazing Fancy Cruncher articles he wrote every week, which he will be doing again, where he's researching all the winners in Fancy Cruncher based on X, Y, and Z, and he's identifying trends. So let's pretend that he's identified a trend and said that, you know what, projected ownerships have been very crucial to pay attention to because no winner this season has had a projected ownership over 180%. So you could do something like this and say, wow, that's a really cool trend that Eeg6 has identified. I want to make sure that I want all of my lineups to meet what this winning trend is. So you go to the My Data tab and you say, use projected ownership and allow a maximum of 180% per lineup. There you go. So using pro ownership, each lineup must have a maximum of 180. And there you go. So you could crunch out your lineups, make all your lineups. All the lineups you crunch out would have ownerships of less than 180%. Now, you can disable. This is the cool part. You can put down a bunch of rules you like, and then you can enable it, crunch for 15 lineups, disable it, enable a different thing, right? So now the next one, I want it to be a little bit stricter. So now I add this rule. This one's enabled. The other one's disabled. So, I've crunched out some lineups. I go add maybe another 30. And then I'm going down to this one. And, now I want some incredibly unique lineups, disabling that, and bang, I'm going to crunch out some more lineups like this. Okay. So you can add all sorts of rules and then disable and enable them as you go. Now, while you're doing this, you can pay attention to some of these other columns as well. So maybe when you're doing this, you also want some of your lineups to be created centered around the ratings. But maybe you don't want to crunch by the ratings. You just want them factored into your lineups. Meaning, you can set these ratings and say, well, by the way, our ratings, our proprietary player rating weekly, those are pretty high, right? I mean, you've got 9 players in there. Ratings might be multiplied. Let's say all your players used are 80 or above. Okay. So 9 times 8, what was that? 700 and what's 9 times 8? Someone help me. Oh my gosh. 720, I think. Goodness. So you could say use ratings and allow a minimum of, let's just pick a random number because I don't know if my math is off, of 600 per lineup. So now you've said use ratings. Each lineup must have a minimum total of 600. So I've enacted that. And then it doesn't mean I have to go crunch by ratings. I can still say, you know what? I freaking love the projections. They've been so good. I'm going to crunch by projections, but I want FC to factor in this, saying, I want all the ratings to be over 600. Now, I don't know if this will work. All these are old, right? So this is last year's data from 2020 week 1. I mean, we could try it out real quick. It should work. Maybe not, because look, I don't know what the freaking ratings are. So like, I think when I copy pasted these, yeah, I mean, see, you're seeing some of the issue now. So like the ratings for defenses at 5 or something. So whatever the number is, with this year's data is going to be easier to use. Last year's might be a little bit harder. Let me see if I can figure it out real quick while I'm live. There we go. So that number of 600 was just too high. I forgot. I think because, sometimes the tight ends and defense or something were really low. I don't know. It's different this year because it's 2021. So anyways, what I've done is I crunched by my projections, but every single lineup, if I were to stop these, click this little configure columns thing, I can add the ratings column, meaning each lineup will show me what the rating is. You can see it right here. Now, because I've added that, I can also sort by the ratings themselves. And you can see, my highest rated lineup right here is a 551. The second highest rated lineup is a 518, right? So if you add things in there, you can then sort by them as well. So that's pretty cool. Let me check in with chat real quick. E6 articles were bomb fire. Yes, they were. They were so freaking good. Allie, what's up, my friend? You ready to stop these super draft streets with me? I can't freaking wait for that. I cannot wait. I'm here just have you on low volume while on call. Hey, my man Bennett's plugging in no matter what. Hit that like button. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate you. Crunch, then sort by rating. Precisely what we just did. I love that. Just to follow up all the amazing coaching. You guys are too kind, man. I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much for the support. So that's a really cool way you can use the My Data. Again, a lot of what you do here is very similar to what you do here, the positional stacks, right? But you're just kind of using it in conjunction. And again, I think this My Data tab is very important to use in conjunction with the E6 articles, because he's going to tell you, here's what the pros are doing, here's who's winning, here's how they're winning. And then, my friends, like, that is a winning strategy. And maybe it's over the course of a month or something. You can then take those strategies, emulate it, and say, I want to try to do what the pros are doing. And you, with the power of Fantasy Cruncher at your fingertips, are able to emulate what the pros are doing. Does that promise pro results? No. But what we're doing is we're focusing on what the pros are doing, and we're going to try to copy them the best that we can, at least emulate how they're approaching their lineup building. Doesn't mean we're going to have the same lineups or the same results, but we are certainly going to have the same similar process. Trying to remember some of the other things that people use this in last year. The value, I know, is something we've talked about before, not actual, looking at the value. So you could say you use a value, and I want to say we used to look at this and say, like, we wanted a minimum of 3, and then we would target certain positions, right? So like, not all value is created equal. So maybe you wanted your wide receiver, since there's so many wide receivers and so many really good values, like running backs might have 7 values of a 3.0 or higher, but wide receivers, because there's so many, you might have 20 or 30 of them, right? So then maybe you are making your wide receiver level a little bit higher. So there's a lot of different individual things you could do. So this is price per point. Again, the 3.5, 3.3 points per dollar. So you could do that. So each lineup might have a minimum of 3.5 total value. So include the wide receiver position. So I guess that would be 3 wide receivers. So you might want to put that at like 9.5. Sorry, that's my alarm. I can't remember exactly how we did this one. Wanted to look at it again. Let me look at it real quick. So let me include the value real quick. Yes. Okay. So if you're looking at this and we're adding this up because we have another wide receiver in here, since we have 4, like this one specifically, we asked for what, 9.5? And if you add up 2.9, 2.8, 2.9, and then 2.6, that adds up to, quick math, 9.7, 10.6, 11.2 value. And you said you wanted a minimum of 9.5. Well, that first lineup crunched out to 11.2 value for your wide receivers. So, if you're putting in a lot of wide receivers in your flex spot, then this number can probably even be a little bit higher, 10.5, whatever it is. If you're taking wide receivers out of your flex, well, then understand you only have 3 wide receivers. So whatever this value is, maybe making it 9 might be extremely high now because you've taken them out of the flex. Okay. So whenever you're doing, you just have to really focus on, okay, if you're adding certain things here, it's going to make drastic impacts based on all of your other settings. Okay, this is all tied together. You kind of got to keep track of it. It's not hard, but it does take some practice. If you are wondering about the groups that we talked about yesterday, again, creating the auto groups and then fine tuning those individual groups, increasing projections inside the creation of those groups is one of the most important, if not the most important factor in creating your lineups weekly. I kind of wanted to open up the second half of this stream to more of a Q&A because I have stood here on my pulpit just going to town like a teacher, like a 13-year teaching veteran, and just, guys, here's a bunch of information I want you to know. Gals, here's a bunch of info I want you to take home with, and I want to open it up. So Q&A, if you guys have any type of questions, if you're like Mitch, can you kind of go over some showdown settings? Again, I missed a lot of the streams over the past 2 weeks where you did a 2-week showdown series. Can you go over it? I'm here. Let me help you. Mitch, can you go over groups again? Mitch, can you go over X, Y, or Z? Can you tell me why doing this is better than that? Or what you have found if you've done this? What about 20 max versus 150 max? Things like that. Like, just start spamming chat with your questions. It can be anything. It can be something that you know and you think it is a worthwhile thing to cover. And I'll be happy to go over them. What I need to do real quick while you guys fill in these things in chat. Like even what John just said there, where he's literally showing any kind of questions, but you watch yourself, you freaking jerk. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so you got, like Porter says, I only go wide receiver and flex GPPs. So John, like an idea right there is for you to say, hey, Mitch, can you go over why a lot of pros will put wide receiver in their flex spot? Fill those in. I need to step out for 2 minutes because I need to, maybe 90 seconds. I need to go check on my kids because I kind of bailed quickly to take that underdog call. And then I ran downstairs to make sure that I set the stream up. And I'm going to check on them, make sure everything's going well. And then I'll come back down and we'll do the second half of the stream, which is going to be the Q&A section. I'm going to leave this up on screen because why the heck not? It's really cool. And you guys can talk about it together. Again, please fire off your questions in chat. I will come back to them, and we'll do the second half of the stream here in a moment. Okay? Bear with me. All right, fam. It's your boy Donuts. I'm back. Let's freaking do this. Shoot. I'm going to check chat out. Go over some of these questions. So, Mitch, how do you get your facial hair so tight? My man. Just takes a little bit of grooming, a nice lotion, and you got to have phenomenal alpha male genetics like I do. That's it. That's all you need. Compare player pool between single entry, 20 max, 150 max. That's a great question, Ninja. Appreciate that one. Okay, so I've gone over this a lot in Discord, our members' Discord. I don't think there needs to be different player pools for each. I honestly don't. The player pool should be built out for the contest you're entering. Okay. So you should be building for the contest, not building lineups and then entering them into contests. I've talked about this ad nauseum on Twitter this morning, where people often will build a lineup, be like, man, I am a good lineup builder. And then they'll go enter it into X, Y, and Z for no rhyme or reason. And that's so silly. It's 2021, my friends. Every lineup you make needs to be built for the contest. If you're using the same player pool for a small entry single field, a large single field tournament, that's okay. But the way you use the player pool for those two different types of contests is very important. If you're building for a small single field or single entry GPP, a small field single entry GPP, you need to be building for a contest against 249 entries. If you're building for one that has 200,000, you need to be building to try to beat out 199,999. Those are two totally different ways to approach them. Now, if we're talking about a single entry, even then, you're looking at a single entry contest that might be small field versus one that might be 5,000. I'm going to build my lineup different for a 500 person $12 contest than I will a $12. I'm using the $12 because I think it's called a kickoff or something, but it's like, there's a 2,000 person one, there's a 200 person one, there's a 20,000 person one, and you guys are going to play each of those differently. You're doing the 200 person one, you don't need a 5-player game stack. You can use that same player pool in all 3 contests, but build differently for those contests. The smallest one, you can use probably a 3-player stack and be okay. You can use a 4-player stack, understand that amount of correlation included will also allow you to climb the standings pretty high, but you're also going to end up dead last if it doesn't go well down towards the bottom. But fortune favors the bold, my friends. You're playing these tournaments to win them, not to double up your investment. If you're doing that, just go play a double up, be in the top 45%, get the same money in return. So if you're building for a small field tournament, small field single entry tournament, go ahead, focus on like a 3, maybe 4-player stack. The ownership of your stack, not totally important, but the players surrounding them slightly important after that. You can use a chalkier stack, like let's say week 1, if we think that Winston, Marquez Callaway, and Devontae Adams is going to be a chalkier 3-player stack, you can still use that in a 200-person tournament. But what you do afterwards is probably more important than the stack itself. Now, once we start getting to bigger contests, then the stack itself is the most important piece. You can't go into a 20,000-person tournament using probably one of the more popular stacks in week 1 with Winston, Callaway, and Devontae Adams and expect to take that bad boy down against 19,999 entries. You're going to have to make sure your stack is one of the things you're trying to leverage against the public. And then from there, building out the rest of your lineup, if you already have a very unique stack, you probably can sit on some of the other values, which will be higher owned. A running back who's 5K at 40% owned is fine in a 20,000 person tournament if your stack is unique. If maybe you've picked a defense against a higher owned quarterback, you're leveraging those higher owned quarterback stacks. If we know that for whatever reason, Trey Lance is 14% owned and all those stacks with Ayuk and Samuel and Kittle are going to be high owned and they're going against the Ravens defense, maybe using the Ravens defense at sub 5% ownership against a higher owned quarterback is a real good way to leverage the tournament. That means 15% of the tournament's going to have Niners and you're going to be in the 5% going against them. That means you are now with the 85% of the tournament against the 15. And then within that 85% of the left of the people, only 5% of them have the Ravens defense in there. Does that make sense to you? So let's say there's 100 people in the contest. Let's just use the number 100. 15% is 15 lineups have Niners. It's you and the 85 other lineups to win the tournament now because you've decided not using Trey Lance and the Niners. Now, within those 85, only 5 of them have the Ravens defense. So in that one specific move of saying, I'm not using the highest owned Niners, and I'm also using the Ravens defense against them, you are now in a company where only 5 other lineups in that 100-person tournament have. And that is how you take down a tournament. That in and of itself, right there, made you so unique that it's just you versus 4 other people for first place. That's how you can look at it. From there, that's why I don't think it's entirely important to focus too much on ownership elsewhere if you've already made your stand at a higher ownership spot. Leverage the field first, build out the best way you can afterwards. I love these streams. And what I just talked about too, and kind of talking about building for the contest, gave that little example. Like that is what the Donuts playbook is going to be each week. It's not on this subscribe now page. You don't see it here, and that's okay. My goal is not to show everybody every single thing we do, but the Donuts playbook that's going to be here for the NFL season is going to be highlighting things like that. I really want to help people learn the ins and outs of DFS, not just give them a bunch of picks. You're going to have our core picks. You'll have our player pools. You'll have our projection models, our ownerships, our cheat sheets, private streams, private videos, private articles. You'll have all of this stuff. But I want my playbook to kind of be that one piece that people go to who are like, okay, that's all great. Like I needed the projections, I needed the picks, but Mitch, how do I use them all? And that's what the playbook's going to be about. Thank you very much for the question, man. Do you ever change the max players per team in the general tab? I do for showdown slates, just simply because that is what we did over the 2 weeks when I was doing all the research for showdown streams. I wanted to make sure that I am building the best possible teams that I can. I don't think it's too important if you're entering large field tournaments. Let that flow. You can end up with, 4 players from the Seahawks and they score 40 points that week. You're happy, man. It doesn't matter. Mitch, are you taking any handsome supplements or is it all natural? Yeah, it's all natural, dude. You could test me. Give me that pea cup. Give me that pea cup. Pass that. Kidding me? Just pure sex appeal and testosterone, baby. Just dripping with it. You may have covered this yesterday, but how do you attempt to get Kelsey and Hill in any Mahomes stacks instead of a guy like Pringle or another low-rated wide receiver? That's awesome. Go to groups. Very first thing. Let's say, let me delete these real quick, and I'm happy to answer that. Create new group. All right, so let's say we're making Chiefs stacks. All right, so we'll go KC. Let me see. What would their initials be? They might not be on the main slate here. Let's see. They're not. Let me find them real quick. Okay, so they were Thursday Night Football. So let me go to groups and type in KC. All right, so let's say you're like, Mitch, I love Mahomes stacks this week, but I keep getting a bunch of turds in there. Very easy fix, my friend. So you key in on Patrick Mahomes. You've said, I love Patrick Mahomes. Give me some Mahomie. And he gets locked in as your quarterback. Now, you're going to set up your rules and build around him, yes? All right, so we're going to add Hill. We're going to add Kelsey. And maybe we have Hardman. Maybe we have Watkins. Maybe we don't want them. Maybe this is the only 2 you want. My friend, you just did it. You've decided, here's my Mahomes group. I don't want Pringle. I don't want Robinson. I don't want Hardman. I don't want these players in there. I want the best of the best. If Mahomes goes 403, 400 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, Tyreek Hill's the reason why it happened. Or Travis Kelce's the reason why it happened. You could say use, I don't know, between 1 or 2 from this group, and maybe you want more Kelce than Hill because there's a lot more wide receiver options, and tight end is just sucks, right? So you give a 20% increase to Travis Kelce's projection every single time Mahomes is your quarterback. Will you get some Tyreek Hill still? Yeah, probably, but you're going to end up with a lot more Kelce because you've increased his projection there. Now, let's say you do this. Watch this. So I'm going to add both of these guys. They both have a projection increase. Now I'm going to add Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman and DeMarcus Robinson, whatever. Okay, maybe you want Robinson the least, Hardman, whatever, a few points. There you go. So you can set it up like this. You'll still probably get, like, let's say you crack that 150 lineups from Mahomes stacks. You're going to get some of these guys probably just based on the amount of uniques you're asking for and the amount of lineups you're creating, any randomness factor you might have in there, so on and so forth. But you're going to get a heck of a lot more Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill over these, much more volatile players. Mitch, can you set wide receiver only in flex for large field GPPs? Yes, you can. You go to the general tab and you would click something like this and you leave flex position and it says, I only want wide receivers in the flex spot. That means every single lineup you build will have 4 wide receivers. Groups is the key. Yes, sir. You can create a group, force it, also bump projection with the home. Yep, that's what I just did. Build Chiefs stacks individually, lock the 2 together. So what John is saying is you could do like this. Like, let's say you want Mahomes, and then you want Kelce and Kittle, and you're trying to get these 3 players. You could just go old school and just lock the 3 in for whatever. You want 22 of your 150 lineups like this. All right. And then you've also said to yourself, I want 5 of them where it's just Mahomes and Kelce, and I want 5 lineups where it's Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. And then from there, I don't want any of them, right? Like now I've also decided I only want them in stacks. If they blow up, Mahomes blows up, and that's it. So there you go. You uncheck them all, and there you go, my friend. Now you won't get Tyreek Hill as a one-off in a stack. You won't get, Travis Kelce as a one-off in a stack or in a lineup. These guys are out of the pool. You've already decided. I love them so much, but only when they're included in stacks. Every other lineup built will not have them. You can do stuff like that simple by locking and removing players. Mitch, what do you think about setting a rule to limit quarterbacks and defense to 1 per team? I don't include this. I don't. Is this what you mean? Offensive players? Set a rule to limit quarterbacks and defense to 1 per team. There can only be 1 quarterback and 1 defense per team. There's only 1 position spot. Are you meaning for like showdown slates? If you're meaning showdown slates, that is a rule I actually had last week during the showdown streams where I said I only want quarterback from same game, 1 player. So what you're saying is in a showdown, you can only limit the number of quarterbacks from the same game to 1. So that's how you would set that up in a showdown. You could do same thing, defense. So you're limiting the number of quarterbacks and defensive teams to 1 per lineup. Later, Dad. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on the stream for a little bit today. Playbook for showdowns or streams on Thursdays. What's up, Carmen? Good to see you, man. Yeah, we're going to have private lineup building videos, premium for members only, from Scrosby, a guy who, multiple lifetime finalist, has dozens of, 5-digit wins and is a showdown master. Wrote the showdown playbook, showdown strategy article last week. He's going to be doing a private article / video player pool thing for Monday night games, Thursday night games, Sunday night games. Scrosby's the best. That's for members only. Hey, Sean, I love that, dude. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Keith. That's a great explanation. I'm happy to help, man. The playbook is what got you into MME years ago. Yeah. So I used to write an article called the MME playbook, and this playbook is more comprehensive. The Donuts playbook, this new thing that I'm doing, is a more comprehensive playbook. It's really going to be covering all things strategy for all things DFS weekly. And this is a private thing only for members. Again, so you can get in today for $15 for your first month and get $20 to use NFC. Stick around a second month, my friends, and you're paying $5 in value for 2 months of both the best site in the world and Rise or Fall in addition. I said that the way I wanted to. FC's dope. But yeah, I mean, if you liked my playbook back in the day, you're going to love this bad boy. It's going to be sick. Talking video, we're talking article video combination. There's going to be all sorts of strategy included. You guys already got the picks and the projections, so I don't need to waste the time telling you, I love quarterback A because of B. It's like I'm going to be talking strategy based on what I'm doing with our content. I don't think there's anything like that out there in the industry. I think most of it is pick stuff, and my playbook is going to be something different. So I'm excited about it. I think it should be a pretty solid piece for members. So you avoid having your QB with his D scoring 2 touchdowns. That's a totally different advanced rule. So if you're trying not to get, you're avoiding having QB with his defense scoring 2 touchdowns. I don't understand, my friend. Sorry. That one just passing me up a little bit. So you're trying not to have. So you go a stack rule and put in. There you go. So stack quarterback with no defenses from the same team. So what's the thinking here? Is it so that you're saying if a quarterback throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, or 4 touchdowns, something crazy, right? It's likely because it's like a shootout. The defense sucks and the quarterback has to throw the ball 48 times. So he's racking up stats. That's an interesting thought. You know what? That's a really interesting thought. I like when you guys ask these questions. And maybe you do this specifically for guys like Mahomes, which you just also brought up. That's a really sharp take. So you're saying, so just so everyone understands what I just did here, okay? I have said stack Mahomes, because I've included only KC, stack Mahomes without his defense every lineup. That stops, and maybe this isn't like a widely used thing anyways. Like it might only enter your lineups 5 times per week. I don't know. But what you're basically saying is a guy like Mahomes who maybe they take their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter or the second half if they're already up by 30 points. So maybe you take your foot off. Maybe the team takes their foot off the gas if they're up by 30 points, in which case he's not doing well anyways, because maybe he got all his points. He's capped at 25 for the week. But we want him on the weeks where he scores 35, right? So you're saying if that happens and he scores 35, 40 points, the team probably gave up 30 points also. That's interesting. I don't know if there's correlation there. That's pretty cool. You always implement that rule. It's got me thinking. I'm not going to say it's a bad one. It's got me thinking for a guy like Lamar Jackson, right? Like if Lamar goes for 40 points this year and actually has to throw the ball 40 times, the game is close, in which case I don't want the Baltimore defense. This is an interesting idea. And if they're up by, 24 at halftime, you know what they're probably doing in the second half? Handing off the ball another 25 times and throwing the ball 7 times, in which case I want the defense. I probably want the running backs, and I don't want to touch Lamar Jackson. I like it. CG, preferential treatment. If I bring up my DMs now, it'll be on stream. Let me see if I can slide it off screen real quick. What you got for me, man? What you got for me? Actually, I put Discord in streamer mode. I don't think I can open it until I'm done with stream. So I can't check, buddy. Listen, fam, almost 2 o'clock. I got to run. I know I started late, but I've used up some time here with that underdog fantasy call. And again, hey, check us out. Seriously, use that promo code. I don't care. It's $15 off. You'll end up getting us for $15 for first month, and you'll still get your $20 credit. Thank you, Fantasy Santa Dave, as we called him, for still allowing everyone to get that $20 credit. That's really freaking cool. You'll get your $20 credit every month. So if you stick around for a year, that's $240 to use on Fantasy Cruncher, and you'll get us at less than $1 a day all year. All of our content, an insane amount of content for every sport. We don't split it up. We're not asking for $200 for the NFL season. Screw that, man. You guys can get, $200 should cover 7 months of content for the entire website, every single sport. And that's how we do business. So you'll have all our content here. You'll have all the tools here. for every sport, right? So an NBA comes around, same thing. You're less than $1 a day. You're getting, oh, that's pretty cool. You'll get all the tools, all the content for NBA and MLB, and these are all the same. We got everything set up the same way so that people know exactly what they're clicking, where to find each thing. We're not trying to confuse people. Keep it nice and simple. I'll see you on the inside, my friends. Hey, be on the lookout. Those daily emails, the daily newsletters do start on Monday during the NFL DFS season. I threw out a few last week as I practiced, and I'm excited. So the newsletters start Monday, daily stream 1 o'clock, and you guys can get on the inside. Very cheap, very affordable right now. And man, I'm so freaking excited. I know we're going to have a ton of people playing Thursday Night Football. I'm excited to do it with you. Hit that like button on your way out right here on the video for me. Very helpful for me for these free videos. And I'll see you in chat, my friends. Have a good day.